we're going to turn this... Wait, no, not this. All right, let's try that one more time. Hold on. Then... There we go. I thought that was broken. Okay, this.
Hi, and welcome to part 2 of this 3-part series on how to build an arcade. Today's video is on the electronics portion. I started with a lowly prototype of the controllers and progressed to a real version. That's actually very important, that you're testing what you're going to do before you do the real thing, because you're looking at the spacing of the buttons, the joysticks, the USB encoder, and everything that is inside of that actual box. So when you're looking at this video, you might be thinking, why is it that he built a portable controller style, more like a console, as opposed to an arcade that has fixed buttons and controllers? Well, when I designed this arcade originally, I wanted a functioning piece of furniture in our house, something that worked with the current style. Having a large arcade machine didn't really work. It was very out of place. And also, I'm not really one to stay with tradition, so when making this piece of furniture, you have to make sure that you're putting everything away and putting it back to its original state, which is a table, which we'll obviously get to in part 3. But for now, let's go ahead and focus on this. Stay tuned.
Building the controllers was the first thing I did, and started with the walnut edges. I decided to do a double miter on their ends, which is basically two 45-degree cuts separated by a 90-degree rotation of the walnut edge. The end result looks kind of like a pencil point in one corner. Anyway, I did this because it allowed for all the edges of the controller boxes to have walnut edges and not show any end grain. The double miter fits together nicely and is ready for the Z-axis walnut edge. From there I clamped the walnut edges and the plywood to make the tops and bottom panels. Sadly, I only had enough of the small clamps to do a single glue up at a time. So the big clamps I was actually worried would destroy the panels. It's important to drill any holes and put any pilot holes you need before you put the entire box together. Once the box is glued up fully, it's going to be very difficult to get anything done like that. Here's one of the things you have to be really careful with. Using a roundover bit on a router does not mix well with the mitered corner. So be sure to clamp a sacrificial piece of plywood or whatever to the beginning and the end of the path, so you stop the tear out from happening. I was super happy with these and how they turned out in the end. The corners, like I mentioned before, need a light touch to make them rounded. So using a file or sandpaper, not a rasp, should be used. Now the fun part, wiring these things. I'd suggest writing out a diagram so that you know what to and where to wire these parts. Having them all wired the same way I think is helpful. But I'm not going to get into the placement or management of the cords, but I'm just going to talk about which wire goes where. I always attach the blue wire to the terminal on the side of the micro switch, and the white wire to the terminal directly next to the blue terminal. For the buttons that light up, I'd suggest testing that the lights work before butting them into the actual button shells. Sometimes the lights need to be rotated in order to work. Finally, now is a good time to put any kind of logo or label inside of the illuminated buttons, or for that matter, a coin acceptor. If you decided to add a coin acceptor, think about what decal you'd want there. We're big Rick and Morty fans around here, so this only made sense. Because we used plug-in controllers, we needed an external place to plug them in. I decided to use these rectangular ones for that exact purpose. You're going to want to take a power strip and cut off the plug to it. You're going to see 3 wires, a black, a white, and a green. Before you do anything, cut off about 6 inches of extra wire. You're gonna need that. So after you've done that, you can go ahead and strip these into usable pieces. These 6 items are called insulated crimp terminals. The ones with the arrows here are going to be connected to the 3 wires that will power the power strip. You'll want to strip the wire just long enough to fit inside the metal of the crimp terminal. Once you fit the wire inside, grip it in place and give it a little tug to make sure it's not going anywhere. Make sure you do this for all 3 wires. The ones with the arrows here are going to use that extra length of wire we cut off already, which will be used to connect the plug to the power switch that goes in the back of the cabinet. Strip and connect on both ends of the white and black wires the insulated crimp terminals. The plug that goes in the back of the cabinet will supply power to everything inside. The one I bought has 7 terminals, and it's pretty easy to wire because it goes in a specific pattern. The top row is black, white, black, white, and then the second row directly below it is black, white. And the wire to the far right side is the ground wire that you'll just need to be plugged in pretty easily. Here's the final look at the inside of the arcade cabinet. I'm going to walk you through some of the things that I did to make this fit our needs better. I used a little platform to rest the Raspberry Pi 4 and the 4-port USB hub on. This allowed space for a little coin dish to reside under it to catch any quarters or, hopefully, blips and chits tokens later on. In order for the coin acceptor to work properly, I needed to add another USB encoder. My brother is supposed to be writing a script in Python that will helpfully allow it to communicate with the rest of the controllers. I'll probably make a video on that someday, maybe. I also put in some USB speakers, but they're pretty terrible, so I'm either going to replace them for cabinet fans or better speakers. So these are actually items that I would suggest having. These are USB to PSX connectors. So if you are playing a game that needs something more advanced than a basic arcade controller, a PS1 controller will work just fine. I have a bunch of cords and such that will get stored on the inside of the controller doors, so I'm not going to have this clutter stay there.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something from it. I'll be building and installing the controller doors off camera next, and after that I'll start to actually measure and design part 3, which is the tabletop and possibly the drop leaf build. Stay tuned for that, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to write them below. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Like and subscribe.